Well, Ray, Georgia cattle producers are seeing some very high prices for their cattle right now. The Monitor's Mark Wildman visited with UGA livestock economist Curt Lacy recently to find out just what is driving this current cattle market.
As you drive by Georgia fields these days and see cattle grazing, everything looks about the same. But if you are a farmer, you know that cattle herds are worth a bit more now than they were this time last year. Why is that? UGA livestock economist Curt Lacy follows markets from his Tifton office and says the high prices this year are a result of conditions that have been building from last year.
The supplies continue to be tight. We've had the droughts in the recent years, and we've seen the liquidation of the cow herd in recent years, not only the drought, but just relative profitability of row crops and some of the other things. So we've seen the cow herd decline. But as we're looking forward to this year, we are talking about reduced supplies, and these reduced supplies combined with an improving economy really has prices, really have live cattle prices very high, and also with the lower corn prices that we saw beginning last year as it became apparent we were going to make a corn crop. And now we have these lower corn prices that will increase the value of feeder cattle here. So our calf prices are really strong right now.
Like any other commodity, producers have a choice to make with their livestock. They can either pay to keep them fed or sell some in the high market.
Right now, as we're sitting here, there's a lot of them are either selling their calves right now or they're really thinking about it. The combination of these really high prices that we've got, when you combine that with the fact that this winter has been very severe, at least by our terms, or by our standards. So there are quite a few producers that are actually selling calves today just to take advantage of the high prices and not to have to feed the cows any more than they have to.
Farmers are good at reacting to current conditions. But the big question is, what does the future look like? And right now, the future looks pretty bright for cattle producers.
We're talking about a larger corn crop, which is, lower corn prices. That always means higher calf prices, everything else being equal. So when you combine that with the reduced supplies of feeder cattle that we have and the reduced beef production that we've had last year and are anticipating this year, we're looking at substantially higher prices for calves here in Georgia, calves and feeder cattle here in Georgia for this year.
Consumers ultimately pay for higher prices, but as the markets work their way out, consumers may not see a big jump in prices right away. So 2014 is shaping up to be a very interesting and unique year for cattle producers, leaving farmers with some options.
Typically, we don't have a chance to sell calves at as high prices as we're selling them today, or we at least have the opportunity. And especially if you look at the difference between the value of the lighter weight animals, the lighter weight calves, versus some of those heavier animals, right now there's not a lot of incentive there to carry them on to higher weights. Now we might see that later on in the spring or even later on in the summer, but as we sit right here at this time of year, all the indications are that selling those lightweight calves right now is probably not a bad thing to do.
Reporting from Tifton, I'm Mark Wildman for the Georgia Farm Monitor.